didn't work. Maybe it wasn't such a good idea, I don't know. But the fact of the matter is they made one attempt. Never tried again. Never gave a chance to see, well, if, Trinidad could keep the oil and they could keep the bauxite and things. They want the oil, and Dr. William gave them a kind of fuzzy mat according to George Bush. Fuzzy mats, 1 from 10. Federation, ladies and gentlemen. People want to know why Jamaica run from the Federation. Yes, they want to know why Jamaica run away from the Federation. Jamaica have a right to speak your mind. That is my opinion. And if you believe in democracy, you'll agree with me. But did they know they didn't want Federation? And they know they didn't want to unite as one. Independence was at the door. Why didn't they speak before? This is no time to say you are federated. No. Oi, oi, oi. Oi, oi. When they didn't get the capital site, that nearly caused big fight. When Sir Grantley Adams took up his post, that even made things worse for them. We don't want no Bajan premier. Trinidad can be capital for them. So the grumbling went on and on to a big referendum. But if they know, they didn't want Federation. And they know they didn't want to unite as one. Tell the doctor you're not in favor. Don't behave like a big traitor. How the devil you mean you are federating no more? Yeah. Sorry, but no Federation again. I think it's a big shame. After so much effort and energy put by everybody, right now it's only a memory. We failed miserably. Some may say we shouldn't help party, but the Jamaica West started. If they know, they didn't want Federation. And they know they didn't want to unite as one. Tell the doctor you're not in favor. Don't behave like a big traitor. This is no time to say you are federated no more. Are you too? You vote against it? Well, it's your powerful. It's your powerful over there. Federation boiled down to simply this: dog eat dog, survival of the fittest. Everybody fighting for independence, singularly Trinidad too, for instance. Well, we get it too, so don't bother. But I find we should all be together, not separated as we are, because of Jamaica. If they know, they didn't want Federation. And they know they didn't want to unite as one. Tell the doctor you're not in favor. Don't behave like a blasted paper. This is no time to say you are federating. No more Alzheimer's. All right. I know, in Jamaica, they had their reasons. But one of the things that I heard, I don't know how true it is, somebody said, Trinidad want to come and take away Jamaica from the Jamaica. Is that the rationale? Who want that kind of headache? Come to Jamaica and take away Jamaica from the Jamaican. People all in Savlama, Ora, Cabeza, Port Antonio, Maypen, Mandeville, Kingston, all over the place. You could rule them people? All in Maroon tongue. Are you kidding? We wanted to be in it. Anyway, I think the general consensus is that the closer you are, the close proximity to the United States makes you a little bit better. I don't know if you feel that way. You don't? You never talk to nobody from the Bahamas, boy? You like that one? Under the belt. Anyway, we're going with my favorite one here now. These are the good citizens, ladies and gentlemen. The good citizens. Do we have any here this evening? Hey, hey. Yes, sir. When does someone really become a good citizen? I'd like to know for sure. Well, when the ordinary man disagrees with the establishment, they call it treason. Why should they persecute a brother for seeking black power? Don't they know a blind man could see that this is blatant hypocrisy? The real traitors and them are all high in society. And the government protecting all of them and penalizing you and me. And in a million different ways they violate the law. It's these same good, no good bastards who oppress the poor. They're selling black market, making excess profit, paying a starvation salary. The good citizens are the architects of economic slavery. They say you have the right to criticize, but then you are victimized. And without any reason. Many a time you find yourself politically paralyzed by that same good citizen. Still is vexed and forced. Enjoy a long life of luxury while they spread corruption throughout the country. When they should be arrested and protected and respected in the society. And in a million different ways they violate the law. It's these same good, no good bastards who oppress the poor. They're selling black market, making excess profit, paying a starvation salary. These good citizens are the architects of economic slavery. In lust, in greed, in fraud, and strife, they specialize. Double deals, they idolize. And if you're brave enough to open your mouth and criticize, one time you are ostracized and or victimized. Still they go unpunished and unaccused of any crime, while on the backs of the ordinary man these vultures climb. They use the riches and the power, make a mockery of the Lord, how the Lord protect them. Same time, in a million different ways, if I only belong. It's the same good, noble bastards who oppress the poor with the false declaration, tax evasion, defrauding, custom duty. The good citizens are the architects of economic slavery. High society hoity-toys, the bourgeoisie, have no regards for we. Manipulating politics, control economics and industry. They live in luxury while we see misery. Elected officials who we depend upon and who we trust to see that no expatriate take advantage on us. I mean, I'm with the oppressor, harmonize with one another and cause me to suffer worse. In a million different ways they violate the law. It's these same good noble bastards who oppress the poor. Now they pushing child pornography, carnality to breed more delinquency. Them good citizens are the architects of economic slavery.
Yes. Yes. I love Kaiso. I love the greatest music, the greatest genre comes out of our Caribbean. Good citizens, economic slavery, they was in. You know, these are terms that we political people use, and the Calypsonians be using it long before we never paid enough attention when they were schooling us. Before Good Citizens, of course, Federation, capturing the breakup of the West Indian nation, 1958 to 1962, came to an end when Jamaica held a referendum and pulled out. Of course, our Guyana was not part of Federation, thanks to the PPP under Jagan, which stayed out of the Federation because they thought that East Indians would be a minority in a West Indian nation, and so they stayed out of the Federation. Jamaica opted out after 4 years, and Dr. Eric Williams said, 1 from 10 leaves not. I played Federation tonight because Trinidad and Tobago, under the UNC, is threatening to pull out of CARICOM and to stop paying the Jews and all that stuff. How history turns, eh? It was Jamaica 60 years ago, 65 years ago, and Trinidad under Eric Williams Said 1 from 10 leaves not. Now it's Trinidad under the other Trinidad party, the UNC, that is threatening to pull out of CARICOM. We are living in interesting times. We are living in interesting times. Federation, the mighty Sparrow, and then, as if we didn't get enough, good citizens, the bourgeoisie, the who we call now friends, family, and favorites. Sparrow, the greatest Calypsonian and perhaps the greatest singer of the 20th century in any genre. Sparrow, the Calypsonian, I know Sparrow. You know, Only a Fool Breaks His Own Heart was his bestseller, which was a ballad, not a calypso. Quite a versatile singer, not just the greatest Calypsonian, but I would say the greatest singer of any genre of music in the 20th century. Good evening and welcome to Politics 101. Ganesh Maipal is going to join me a little bit later to talk about a range of issues. As you know, Parliament has only been called once since coming into session, the budget, and that has been over now for about a month. But the APNU has been using its time, the parliamentarians going across the country and doing representation work. And I will talk to Paul about some of that kind of work and a range of issues. We have this story developing there in Haslington, where a young man died in police custody, and the 2 policemen have been placed under close arrest pending the investigation. There's going to be a post-mortem tomorrow, I understand. Should have been yesterday, but the pathologists wanted to hear more from the doctor, who I pronounce Mr. Payne, Jordan Payne, dead. So tomorrow is going to be the post-mortem. Hopefully tomorrow night we will be able to get a couple of the lawyers. I know 2 APNU lawyers, Dr. Dexter Todd and Ronald Daniels, are on the case. I visited with Ronald 2 days ago, and yesterday Dexter and Ronald went back and took statements and so forth. So hopefully I can get them to come on tomorrow night to talk a little bit more about that case. I suppose, you know, it's not been splashed in the media. The media, like all of us, have become numb to these things that are happening in Guyana. Extrajudicial killing, you know. Young man was arrested and a few days later dead. Was he beaten by the police? Was he killed by the police? Did he die of natural causes while in police custody? We don't know, but when the police deposited his body at the hospital without calling his family, if a prisoner takes sick and you're taking him to the hospital, you call the family. I've spoken to policemen who understand. They say, you don't move that body. You don't move the person without telling the family. So hopefully tomorrow, after the postmortem, we are going to be talking to some of the expert lawyers, people like Paul Slow, who knows that issue and who has been talking about it on his program. Hopefully tomorrow we can gather them together to speak on that issue. Yesterday, of course, was the International Day of Remembrance. and the motion passed at the United Nations deeming slavery the gravest crime against humanity. So we lots happening, and Ganesh Maipal is joining me shortly. I think he's backstage and ready, so we're gonna get him in. As you know, Ganesh is the whip of the APNU. We have a divided opposition. We have three parties sitting in the National Assembly, and each party is, as things have turned out, looking after its own interest. I know lots of you have been talking about opposition unity, and I've been saying here, you don't go into an election in the circumstances that the now opposition went into the 2020 election and expect that when you come out of such an environment, such an arrangement, that you're going to have automatic unity. 2015 was the formula. The opposition went in united, and so therefore there was opposition unity in the form of government after 2015. That's the formula. I think we're asking too much that we went in divided, that is fighting against each other. As I said here a couple of nights ago, there were 5 parties vying for the quote-unquote opposition constituency. 5 parties. The APNU itself, which is a party of parties, so it's more than 5 parties, because the APNU is a party of parties. But let's say you call the APNU a party for convenience sake. So you had APNU, you had WIN, FGM, ALP, AFC. And that's how we went into the election. The other side, that constituency, for all intents and purposes, only had one competitor. And so you go in with a 5-way race for one constituency, and you expect that the next day you come out of the race in opposition, and suddenly you will have unity. I think, I don't know whether it's buyer's remorse on the part of some of our voters, but they're now quarreling for unity. I think it's not a good understanding of how the political process works. And as I said, my view is that we have lowered the standards for part of the opposition, and we raised the standard for another part of the opposition. And that in itself contributes to the so-called lack of united action. And I challenge here 2 nights ago, as you all remember, I said, you all want unity? Let WIN and the APNU and FGM and ALP and AFC sit down around a table and said, no more extrajudicial killing of African Guyanese youth. I challenge them. You all want unity? Let's see if we get unity on that issue. I didn't hold my breath, because as I said, at least the APNU talks about African Guyanese issues sometimes. WIN talks about it no time. I don't think FGM talks about it. ALP, Simona Brooms, she will speak about it. AFC that wouldn't come out of their mouth. And so I'm saying it's a little bit unfair and unreasonable to be demanding unity of what in the old days Burnham would say a motley crew. Yeah. But Ganesh is here, and As I said, the APNU has been on the road, um, taking Parliament to the road since Parliament has not been in session and making representation, highlighting issues, not always recognized, because the media, like other institutions in the society, they sell news, and if they feel that one group saying something is going to sell, but if another group says it's not going to sell, you would think that one group is doing everything and the other group is not doing anything. And I am not a big party man, but fair is fair. The APNU has a team right now in Madhya. The APNU is on the ground in Haslington. I know Ganesh himself has been in the Essequibo, the islands, and so groups are out there doing things, but the media, maybe they're not in love with the APNU right now, and so therefore you don't necessarily see the representation that is being done by the APNU in the formal media. So we have to take these opportunities to draw to your attention. Let me bring in Ganesh. Good evening, Ganesh.
Good night, Dr. Hines, and good night to your viewership. I trust you're hearing me loud and clear.
Very much loud and clear. And I know that your time is precious, and so we're very glad to have you on tonight. As I was saying in my introduction, this is a kind of parliamentary watch where I will try to get you to talk about some of the things that your party of parties, because I try to tell the media people, APNU is not a party, but I've given up. It's easy to say it's a party. But we will use the Lloyd Best terminology. Lloyd Best, former Trinidadian economist and political activist, he used the term party of parties. So your party of parties has been on the streets, in the communities, doing a lot of work, and I want us to talk about some of that work tonight. But let me ask you the general question. Why we've seen for the first time in recent history, we have seen parliamentarians really moving around the country as parliamentarians. In my recollection of recent Guyanese history, I've never seen parliamentarians take to the ground. I'm not talking about a parliamentary leader. I'm talking about a parliamentary team take to the ground almost every day into the communities. What has prompted your group? What has prompted the APNU parliamentary team to go in that direction?
Thank you very much for the question. And indeed, Dr. Hines and your viewers, there has been a greater presence of parliamentarians in the respective communities in today's politics. I have been around politics and in the PNCR for close to 2 decades. And from 2020 to now, a significant presence in respective communities happens to be there. It has amplified from 2025 to now, no doubt. And that's because there is really and truly a cultural shift in how the public views our parliamentarians. And there has also been a greater presence of people paying close attention to current affairs and political happenings. One has to understand that from 2020 to now, there has been a significant boost in technology, affording several communities the access to information via social media and many other forms on the internet. And because of that, several issues that were plaguing our country for decades are now taking the limelight. And that is why it requires the presence of elected officials on the ground. APNU has basically taken advantage of this situation. And we recognize that in order to give solid representation, it requires us to be in the communities physically, hear directly from the people as they are affected, and make the representation for them in a more passionate and a more direct manner where you have an intimate knowledge of the situation as opposed to staying in your office and just relating to them via the telephone or other means of communication. When you're physically on the ground and you can look at a resident in the eyes and you can feel their pain and you can see how is it that they're suffering, you can able to experience it on the ground, walk in the mud, see the potholes on the roads that you have to go through, see the hinterland community. As you know and your viewers know, we have 4 MPs in the hinterland community. They have been traveling via road from Georgetown straight through Region 10. They went into Region 8, came out back, crossed the Kurpakari crossing, went into the Region 9 district, attempted to reach Marudi Mountain, was blocked, had some difficulties there, met with several residents, and they can relate passionately and intimately about the matters affecting the ordinary Guyanese. So when we speak from a position of knowledge, we speak from a position of information, and we speak with the passion that the residents themselves don't have the opportunity to speak from. So that is why we are so present on the ground. And beyond that, it is the technology, it is the internet access, and it is the change in the political culture of our country that have seen several members of parliament from all sides going on the ground. I don't appreciate optic politics, which I believe the People's Progressive Party is playing. I don't appreciate the political opportunism that the PPP seeks to attract via this process. It is different from our side because we are genuinely representing the cause of the people. We are not going to pretend as though we are perhaps in their religious faith or religious belief. We are not going to impede and try to press for them to take us in a direction or the other. We speak to general issues and we want to see a better Guyana, and that is why we fight to represent the cause that is before us. And if you ask me honestly, from the win side of things, I have not felt their genuineness as yet, but I do see them on the ground. I do see them also taking to the streets to represent Guyanese, but the genuineness of it, I have some very much some questions about how genuine the cause is.
And of course, as viewers and listeners would know, I am not a dispassionate or observer on this issue, since I am part of the APNU caucus. And I can tell you that as a caucus, we meet frequently. Sometimes we try to be ambitious, but because we are so busy, we don't always get to put in the statutory meeting, but we meet very frequently and we assess the situation, assess the actions that we have taken and the plan for the future. Ganesh, tell us, what have you been hearing from the people as you move? I know you had one street parliament in Georgetown, another one in Linden, But as I said in the introduction, that members and teams have been going to various parts of the country and listening to people and hearing from people. Tell us some of the general things that you have been hearing from people as you move around the country.
Well, let me start by telling you, at the People's Parliament at Stabroek, I was one of the speaker, and several persons interacted with me there. The next week, when we moved to Linden, I was on the Essequibo coast, and I visited Charity, I visited Anna Regina, and I visited Hibernia on the Essequibo coast. And when they had the issue at Friendship also, I was there. I can tell you that people are not feeling what the government is saying is on paper. The government is telling us on paper that they have a better Guyana. The government is telling us on paper that there is economic growth. The government is telling us on paper that we are way better off than we were in the past. I would not doubt the fact that we are better off than where we were in the past, and that is because of several factors, which include economic growth, which includes the newfound oil wealth, and which includes the whole aspect of information gathering and spreading of information that allows people to have greater interaction with their representatives. But the way it is being painted and positioned in the minds of our people, it is as though the government is forcing us to believe that all is well with everything, and that is not so. When I was in Charity, and I will start there, the Charity residents complained bitterly, first of all, about a heavy cost of living. They spoke to us, myself and some other comrades, about how difficult it is to make ends meet. They told us about the days when they had $20 and how valuable it was. They told us about how easy it was for them to put something in their pots during those times, and how easy it was to know that they had a society where young people grew up with respect for their elders. They told us about the school system, how discipline was something that was important, that played a significant role in making them who they are today. And this is the older folks. And they told us about the fact that the race politics is also very much present in these rural communities where people are judged based on their skin color, and they're being told that they belong to a particular grouping. They told us about the hardship of not selling their groceries and not making a daily living to the markets, because I was there at the Charity Amazon market. And there is also the issue about vendors not having access to the market so that they can occupy their space to ply their trade. We came down the road to Anna Regina. Several of the hire car drivers, they spoke to me, and they told me how difficult it is on the road, how people don't want to pay an increased fare to travel. And they explained, and I agree, that they also have to raise their fare because they have to live too. If things in the supermarket go up and they leave their fare at one place, how is it that they will be able to buy what is in the supermarket to provide for their families? They have to also make ends meet. And then we went straight down to Vilvoorden area, Hibernia, Vilvoorden area. There's a dust pollution matter there that has been going on for several years. Residents are affected by hack rice mill burning paddy ash, and it's disturbing their livelihood. It's an environmental hazard. The matter is in the court, yes, but I do believe that something has to be done so that these people will not be going through what they're going through right now with all of this dust pollution. I do have those videos to share on my social media page, which I will do within the next couple of days or so. And then when we came over to Region 3, we spoke to several residents about these unfinished projects that have been going on for several years and how it's hampering their lives. We have at Good Fortune a pump station, an actual home that belongs to a resident will soon cave in if they don't address this matter into that big hole that they have there at the Good Fortune area. The pump station has been um, work has been going on there from 2022. We're in 2026 and there's no progress on the site. All we're seeing is a bigger ditch, and it can very well pull that entire house in. We see several other unfinished projects within the region that people have complained about. At the Friendship area, we see that several families, 50 families, were basically displaced by an action. Of course, it was a court action. We did call on government to take a humanitarian stance of providing house lots to these residents. And if they can't build their own homes, we have men on mission with $900 million from the budget. They can move ahead and construct the homes for these residents and several other issues, Doc. But the overarching thing was people are not as happy as government want us to believe they are. And if we sit quietly and we don't go and display and expose and show the world that Guyana is not the way it is being painted by this government, then all will believe that we are one happy set of people, when the reality is there are several people, several hundreds of thousands of people who are suffering on a daily basis just to make ends meet in this beautiful country we call Guyana.
Ganesh, I sit next to you in the National Assembly, and we were there for 2 long weeks during the budget debate. And I've said publicly that I marvel at the way you have a panoramic understanding, not just of the budget process, but of the parliamentary process. And I said it at a gathering of my own party, and one of my party members said, because he takes his work seriously. And I just want to say that publicly. But one of the things that I really marvel is the way in which you are able to police government spending, not just, let's say, in a village or in a region, but across the country. And talk to us about some of the things. I don't want you to give your secret as to how you go about doing that, because I've concluded that it is a special skill that not all of us are fortunate to have. But tell us about a couple of the more glaring things that your big eyes have been able to pick up in terms of inconsistencies in what the government said they're spending and what is actually taking place with projects.
Dr. Hines, thank you very much for the compliment, by the way. But when you love what you do, you somehow have a greater appreciation. And I do love what I do. And sometimes when I sit at my desk, like right now, if this is my budget book, I have it right next to me. And if you notice the front part is damaged, that's because of how much and how many times I actually go into it. Several pages are coming out also, and you will see that I write all over it also. I believe in the old school method, which is to just as you see things, you write it down and you make notes and you familiarize yourself of what is going on. And my understanding of the budget comes from a position of me ensuring that I study it carefully and I pay keen attention to what was said in the past versus what is said currently. So when a minister, for example, and I'm going to tell you this is not no secret. I think it's beneficial to everybody. And I believe that when you share information, you're able to better somebody else's life, and you're able to make things even better and more open. I would normally, before the budget process, go back and look at all the answers that were provided the years before. And note I said the years before, not 1 year back or 2 year back alone. I go far back. Like in this instance with 2026, I went as far back as 2022. And I was reading all the answers that were provided for the various lines from 2022 come up. And that is why I was able to expose those markets so easily. Because since 2022, millions of dollars were put into several markets, and millions of dollars were reflected as spent out from those allotted sums. And I could not have fathomed and comprehend how you could have spent hundreds of millions of dollars in 2022, 2023, 2024, 2025, and come back here in 2026 and ask for several more millions to be placed at these very markets. And that is why I was able to expose that one. The old tugboat that Bishop Edghill tried to defend.
The great bishop.
Yes, which they bought from Larry Singh for $180 million, and then they're putting it back in his care for him to operate at $12 million a month, where he basically gets to pocket off about $10 million a month on top of the 180 he already got, because all the expense he has is just to pay 2 engineers, 2 sailors, and 2 captains, which come up to about $2 million.
Ganesh, I want you to repeat that, because I sat there next to you when you raised that matter in the National Assembly, and even for somebody like myself who've been around long and has gotten accustomed to government, corruption and insider kind of operation, now friends, family, and favorite. That one blew me away. Please repeat it.
Well, let me simplify it some more for your viewers to get a clear understanding of what was actually the transaction. This man, Larry Singh, he went to America, and in America, he bought an old tugboat for himself to use for whatever purpose. He just picked up himself, traveled like a normal passenger to the United States, I think it was Louisiana, and he purchased this old tugboat. I don't know how much he bought it for in America, but he sailed from Louisiana and brought the boat down to Guyana. And the boat came down to Guyana, and it is his property. It is his private property that he bought. The government then claimed that there is an increase of traffic flow across the Essequibo River, and they require another boat to complement the MV Sabanto, the MV Kanawha, Malali, and Makaura. And instead of them going in search of a better boat, going in search of a nicer boat, going in search of a bigger boat that is more spacious and can accommodate passengers and vehicles, which they can own and they can buy, they chose to sole source and buy it from Larry Singh because they said he has the boat. He has the right boat. And this is an old tugboat, I'm telling you. No shed, no passenger seating arrangement, only vehicles can go in, and you're still in the scorching hot sun. They bought this boat from him for $180 million. The boat now becomes the property of the government because they buy it from him. So when they bought it from him, it is their duty, like the Makaura, like the Malali, like the Kanawha, and like the Sabanto, it is their duty to employ staff to work these boats, this particular boat, to work on this boat. The crew member, hear this part, Dr. Hines, is the first time I'm going to say this. The crew member that Larry Singh had working the boat applied to Transport and Harbors to be a part of the government system to work the boat, and they were refused. They were refused. So they had to stay with Larry Singh. The government then said that they don't have the staff complement to work the boat. So what they're going to do is to contract it out now back to Larry Singh. And in contracting it out back to Larry Singh, those very staff members that Transport and Harbors refused to employ have to be working the same boat. And the two captains were being paid $500,000 each. The two sailors, I think it was $200,000 each. And the two engineers were $300,000 each. So Larry Singh was contracted at $12 million a month to operate this boat with 6 people. And all Larry Singh got to do is pay these 6 people. And he has been paying them $500,000 for one captain, 5 and 5, that's $1 million for the captain a month, 2 captains. He has been paying $400,000 to $200,000 for 2 sailors. That's 1.4 and $300,000 each to 2 engineers, and that's 600,000, which gives you $2 million.
And how much he's being paid by the government?
Larry Singh is collecting $12 million from the government, and he is paying out $2 million in expense, and $10 million a month is going into his pocket. And if the boat breaks down, it is the responsibility of the government to fix it. The fuel to transport, to move the boat from point A to point B, is the government's expense. So when we talk about friends, family, and favorites, these are the kinds of arrangements that government has in place to allow this kind of behavior. And people have to understand that this is the kind of corruption we talk about. Now, they ain't physically thieving the money. They ain't going into the Bank of Guyana and open the government account and pull out a 10,000 and put it in the pocket, or pull out a 1 million and put it in the pocket. That's not how they're thieving. They're thieving by ensuring people like Larry Singh get a work. And from the 10 million Larry get, he got to ensure he pay back where he got to pay back, and who got to get a blight from it. That is the kind of corruption. And that is what Guyanese people must understand. So when you see a public servant or a minister putting up a big mansion, or buying an expensive luxury vehicle, or traveling at the whims and fancies, A-class, first class, whatever you call it, is the drawback. So what is reflected on paper is a contract for a sum of $12 million that is paid to Larry. But what is not reflected is where the drawbacks and the kickbacks happen. And this is not just Larry. This is beyond him. There's several other people that this government has several different contracts with in similar operations. I can speak to various different ministries about it and where it is happening and how it is happening. We have a $900 million on the Men on Mission. $900 million could give you hundreds of houses based on how they construct these houses. We have been begging Gail Teixeira, you know this too, Dr. Hines. I raised this also. We have been begging her for the report. Give us a detailed report of how these monies are spent. Last year, Men on Mission got $700 million. We haven't seen any report for it and how the $700 million was spent. The year before was $700 million too. The year before that was $500 million. And the year before that was $500 million. And we have not seen to this day a single report that speaks to how these monies were spent. We weren't provided with any detailed breakdown with how these monies have been spent. And here we have now $900 million for the same purpose. The president has at his discretion a sum of $300 million that he can spend on anything he wants, but it must be humanitarian in nature. Must be humanitarian in nature. Has he given account for what he has done through humanitarian practices so that we could verify that the money, the taxpayers' money, is spent properly? There is over $300 million for a small business bureau, a small business project. You know what the government did one year? They bought several baby chicks, went into communities that are theirs, and give it out in the wee hours of the morning with chick feed. Economic upliftment for their people. And you know what they do to communities that they believe that is not theirs? They go and they weed the ball field, and they put up 2 lights, and they holler, look, we developing for you. There is a clear disparity in what they do for one set of people that they say belong to them from what they do for another set of people that they believe don't belong to them. They go into communities that they say are strongholds of the APNU, and they paint their pavilions. They weed the grass on the play field. They put up a couple of lights. They build a basketball court. And they say, look, we do things for you. And they go into another set of communities that are theirs, and they give them small loans and small grants. They give the shops monies to empower themselves. They give one set of people economic upliftment and economic empowerment. And another set of people, they give recreational facilities. And they expect us to laugh at that. And you know, they get angry. The government gets angry when you speak these things. They get angry when you say these things, but it's factual. It's not a make-up story. And if they do give economic upliftment to a couple of people that are not perceived to be theirs, they blow it up like if it's the entire community got it. They blow it up like if it's the entire community that got it. Well, I want to ask, and I'm saying it here on your program, I know of about 47 shops, 47 small shops in Wakenham, stronghold of the PPP. Of the 2,000 votes that come out from there, PPP gets 1,600. And APNU gets about 400. About 47 shops in that community were given $250,000 each, so that they can do a turnover. They could buy and sell and multiply and develop. Name me 10 shops in a non-supportive community of the PPP that got $250,000 each. Name me 10 shops in Denhamstel that got it. Name me 10 shops in Good Fortune that got it. Or in Good Intent, or Buxton, or Haslington, or Pleasance, or Linden. Name me 10 shops that got it. Then there was another time when they give out handouts to party lackeys right there on that island. And I can relate to that island because I have close connection to the island. When it was a time when it was religious function, they give the Mandares 2 watermelon, 1 pineapple, and some other fruits. And then they give the masjid $250,000, the 2 masjids. And the churches for Easter, they get 2 packs of hot cross buns. I think was tennis roll, and they cut it with the cross, and I think couple small drink. The unfair playing field, Dr. Hines. The unfair playing field. The unbalanced or imbalanced is the right word, the imbalanced approach. And that is why when I made my budgetary presentation, I said that this budget was imbalanced. I said the budget was not balanced. We are not against development. We have never been against development. We're not against us having roads, having that bridge. I think it's a beautiful bridge. I think in its current existence, in its current form, it's an engineering marvel. And similarly, in 1978, when the old Demerara Harbor Bridge was opened back then, that was an engineering marvel of its time too. All the multilateral schools that were built by the PNC in the 1970s and so on, those were engineering marvels of their time. We're in a different era now where we're going to see different development and more engineering marvels. And I think that is exceptionally good. We're going to see many roadways open where the blueprint existed decades ago. But we have to balance our infrastructure development with our social upliftment and economic empowerment. We have to balance it so that our people can be happy while our country move in the direction of economic transformation and development. And we are not seeing that. We are seeing hundreds of billions moving into billions and trillions being channeled and funneled into infrastructure because the drawback is coming from there. When the contracts are given out, contractors are telling us they could get a contract, but they got to prepare to give back 10% to somebody's pocket. They got to prepare to go at Freedom House and make a deposit. They got to prepare to give back. So when you think you're getting a $900,000 transformative project, is really 10% less that, because the 10% got to go in somebody's pocket. People of Guyana, they have to understand, David Hines, Dr. Hines, what is before us. They have to understand. You know, I have made an issue out of this 100,000 cash grant.
I was getting there, so go right ahead. And let me tell you, today I was out in Buxton, and people, I think, are now catching on, because they're saying to me, Dr. Hines, when Ganesh said the $60, the thing sound like nothing, but it's a 60 multiply by the 600 or 700,000, and people are now catching on. And that is why I picked up my phone right away and I called you and I said, Ganesh, can you come on tonight? Believe it, I stopped at a shop and a comrade was telling me he now understand what you were saying. And when I left there and I went around the village to the line top, two young ladies stopped me and said, Dr. Hines, I know catch what Ganesh, my Paul was saying. It's not just the $60, it's the $60 multiply. And so go right ahead.
Dr. Hines, I have made an issue out of this cash grant and the method that is being used. And with the modus, what is it? Modus vivendi, is that the right terminology? Now let's understand something. First of all, I am supportive of the cash grant being deposited into people's bank accounts. Let's get that very clear. I do believe and I do support that people should get bank accounts. I do believe that people should go get registered at the banks and they should move into the direction of a paperless transaction. You know, liquid cash, let's not move around the country with liquid cash. Let's reach to the stage where we can use the plastic card and we can tap it and we can get our transaction done. We can have a savings account. We can have another account, what you call a checking account, and you can able to do your. I support that 100%. What I don't support is inconvenience and inconsiderable moves that the government is making. You said to me that you're giving me $100,000, and in this totality of the $100,000, which is the 100,000 multiplied by the total amount of people, you have budgeted $70 billion. And you added an additional, I think, $2.5 billion. And you said to us in the National Assembly that this $2.5 billion is the administrative cost that is associated with the distribution of the 70 billion. So that would have encompassed having security to move around with the checks, having all the cutting of the checks, the work, everything, traveling, transportation, everything. I asked the question in the National Assembly, as you would recall, Dr. Hines.
Yes.
Will you be distributing this cash grant via the banking system, deposited in bank? The Prime Minister said, it's a good option. We will look at it and we will know what we will do. You have adopted it. You have adopted it. In adopting it, however, you must know you are the finance genius of the country, as they claim. You must know that for every deposit, there is a charge that comes there, a service charge. And some banks may be $60. My own is $50. And when you deposit my $100,000, $50 automatically come out and go to the bank. Multiply that by 600,000 people, and we're talking about millions of dollars remaining in the banking system. So who getting the money? The banking people. Outside of that, the $50 that come out, when I go to withdraw the money, I ain't gonna get my full money neither, because another $70 gotta come out for service charge when you're withdrawing. So that goes to the bank again. On top of it, I want people to understand that everybody that is paid by the state, monthly their monies are deposited in respective banks. So monthly that charge comes out. And every time they go and withdraw the money, monthly that comes out too. So this nonsensical argument about how the bank gonna pay its people, this cash granting is now a monthly thing. This cash granting is not a bi-monthly or tri-monthly thing. The PPP does it in an ad hoc manner. We were supposed to get it since December. We don't know if we're going to get any more for the remainder of this year. It's a one-off thing, we could call it like that. So the government had two options, Dr. Hines. The first option they had was to deposit in everybody's account $100,050.
Yes.
And if they had done that, then people would have felt better and different, because they had a cost attached to the administrative cost for this distribution. They could have deposited $100,050 into people's bank account. Or they had a second option. They could have negotiated with the banks and request of the banks to waiver this $50 or $60. Waiver it. And you know why I say that, Dr. Hines? Because it is bigger than $50 and it is bigger than $60. It is bigger in the sense that you and I may not be affected by a $50. We may not be affected by a $50, but we represent people who value a dollar right now in their life because they understand the importance and the struggle for it. And there are several people, and now I want to turn to the other aspect of things. There are several people who reached out to me after seeing the current notification that they can go and register for this cash grant. But in order for them to register for this cash grant, the bank account must be in their name. The bank account number must be in the applicant's name. Several people reached out to me who are housewives, Dr. Hines. Housewives. They said, Ganesh, and my husband does work. And my husband got the bank account me na got. And a one bank account that we got where we collect a little bit money for go inside whenever we get the raise. And when we put them in the account, they me a use them, my husband a use them. So me na got bank account. So now me got forgot, this is what the lady tell me, you know. Me got forgot the bank and me got forgot open one account. For me open this account, me got to put one money inside because the account not going to become active if one money not there inside. So she said she got to put one money inside. And then when she don't put his money inside and the account activated, then the government go put in the 100,000. But then what go happen afterwards? When me draw out the 100,000, me not go get all because the money have left inside for keep the account. And if me not put in money in this account, I think within 6 months, the account goes dormant, it shuts down. So me go in and open this account just to collect 100,000 because me not want one account. Me not got reason for get one bank account. This is what the lady tell me, Dr. Hines. Me not got reason for get one bank account. So I had said earlier, and I made this representation and I made this case known. Now put aside the fact that here now, this lady had traveled and got to the bank for open this account. Right? Wakenham person talking about again, Dr. Hines. This Wakenham lady got left she house, pay $1,500 to go to Parika. She got to go to open this bank account based on the wait time and so on. She gonna buy she lunch, she gonna buy she food and eat and so on, and then she gonna travel back another $1,500. So she got paid $3,000, and let's assume she eat $500. We're being very moderate here. $3,500 she got paid for go open a bank account. A whole day basically she got take for do that. And then when she go back home in Wakenham, she got to travel back another day. Another 3,500. 15 to come, 15 to go, 500 to eat. Another 3,500 for come for collect the money, which is not the full 100,000 because she ain't gonna get the full sum. You understand what I'm saying, Dr. Hines?
Yes.
So what did I say to the government? I said to them that as we transition, and any responsible government would have taken this approach on board, we have to transition the nation to where we want them to go. We cannot drop something on them brad-ups and expect everybody to get it right at the first, nor can we expect to impose on an already suffering nation with cost of living. We have to transition in a gradual form. So for this disbursement that you're making here, the 100,000 disbursement, the best thing to do was to have a portal, which you do. And on this portal, you facilitate registration. You allow people to upload their Guyana identification card as verification that they're Guyanese. You allow them to upload their address. They must tell you their address so that you can verify. You have a GCOM database with address that we would normally use for elections. You know that, Dr. Hines. And let them put or choose a bank account that they would like to use to deposit this money. So if that lady in Wakenham wants to put her husband's bank account number, which practically belongs to her too, because it's both of them using it as she said, she should have been given that opportunity. And you have a caveat to the nation that the next disbursement, we are expecting all Guyanese to have a bank account number. So it gives that lady time to ensure that she gets herself in order for the next deposit. You see what you're causing right now, Dr. Hines, as the Minister of Finance? What? I say you just now, but you know what I mean.
But that's
You know
right.
what they're causing? They're going to have problems at these very banks. You imagine, we don't have the infrastructure, the banking infrastructure to facilitate hundreds of people, sometimes even thousands, going to a bank to get themselves a bank account. And people will flock the banks now. People are going to flock the banks now. Look at it. Parika has a Scotia Bank, they have a GBTI Bank, and a Demerara Bank. You got to get the entire island of Wakenham, entire island of Leguan. Hog Island got people living there. Alaki got people, Murishi, Lanabali, Fort Island, Saxakali. All of these places got people living. They got come out now, they got go through expenses, come out to go open this bank account. You got people in Parika Back Dam. You got people along the Del Conte Road. You got people all over St. Lawrence. Name the places. Can you imagine what those three banks, how inundated they will be to facilitate the opening? Now, these people ain't gonna come out from them long distances and leave without getting their work done, because if they'll come out and they ain't get it, they got going back and come out again.
And come
Additional
out.
expenses, right? You got people living Mahaika Creek, Mahiconi Creek. Are you with me? There's several people. So the government should have done it in such a way, Dr. Hines, that people who are desirous or people who don't have a bank account number, once you could verify to us that you have provided a bank account number, you could have an authentication letter, your choice. We talk about democracy. If I say, I am going to register on the portal for my 100,000 and my choice is to put it in David Hines' account, and I give them David Hines' account number, that's me business. I'm verifying by submitting my ID card. I'm submitting my address. I can even submit an authorization note that I hereby authorize my money to be deposited into this bank account number 007895 whatever. And you have a smoother transition to the process. As far as I'm concerned, the government has complicated the process more. They have put poor people into greater expenses. They didn't put me in any expense because my money went into my account. I did not get the full 100,000. I got $99,050, as you know, Dr. Hines. They haven't inconvenienced me. They haven't inconvenienced you. But this is not about me and you. This is about the thousands of people who are ordinary, hardworking Guyanese that we have to represent, and we have to represent their interests. They haven't inconvenienced Ashni Singh. They haven't inconvenienced Bharat Jagdeo, Irfan Ali, Arya Ali. None of them were inconvenienced. Well, I don't know if Arya Ali got a bank account or she was allowed to use Irfan Ali's own, but they haven't inconvenienced the affluent, privileged, and easily accessible people like the public servants. I don't think the senior citizens will be heavily troubled too, because I know several of them have bank accounts that they're being paid their pensions from. But they're ordinary people in this country that are going to be inconvenienced. And I'm saying that a smooth transition process like the one I outlined would have been far way better as you prepare the people to get their bank accounts in order. So by the time the next cash grant comes, you will have more people with bank accounts that will be easily and readily accessible to accept.
And of course, Ganesh, had they done an audit of the first payout, it would have told them, what worked, what didn't work, what is likely to work, what is not likely to work. But one of the ways in which they cost the APNU, they say we like do too much study and so on. So they ain't doing no study. They're just landing thing on people. And it's making things worse. And thank you, Ganesh, for coming out front and recognizing that issue. I know a lot of the PPP say Ganesh is being trivial. As I said that I walked through the village today, people say, well, they now understand what Ganesh is getting at. So sometimes it takes time for things to settle in and for people to understand the enormity of what. And that behavior is consistent with the PPP's own mode of governance. And that is to find some way to get things to favored constituency, friends, family, and favorites. And in the process, throwing the citizenry under the bus.
And Dr. Hines, the PPP has a tendency of creating the disturbance, creating the confusion, and then coming in back as though they're the savior by putting several millions more with the expectation of fixing, when the reality is the confusion was to put money in the friend, family, and favorite pocket. And the solution is also to put money into the friends, family, and favorite pockets.
Ganesh, my Paul, you're really giving us a mouthful tonight. Ganesh, I know that time is of the premium, and so I wouldn't hold you any longer. But certainly I will bring you back, because Thursday night I'm designating MPs night, in which I'm going to get our MPs to come on and to speak in the way that you've spoken tonight and what we're doing. As I pointed out, that other parties have been doing work on the ground, exposure, but it looks as though only one party has been doing that kind of work. And I know that we have been doing that kind of work, but the media have not been giving us the kind of coverage that we should get.
The media, Dr. Hines, it's most unfortunate I have to say this. The media is fighting for survival in this country.
Yeah.
We lost Tablook News, unfortunately, and the other media houses, they're fighting for survival. And, you know, they always say, who pays the piper calls the tune.
Yeah.
We are not a political party that is overflowing with finances to pay the media to carry any story for us. And we don't have it in us to break principle either. We believe that we have to also take into account that you have to have a line. You have to have a line that is drawn where you separate what is right from what is wrong. You cannot want to have a better Guyana for the future generation, and you are facilitating wrongdoings, bringing up a society in the wrong way and not teaching them the right thing to do. You know, somebody told me the other day that the PNC got too much bureaucracy. That was what they said, that too much bureaucracy. I said to them, the bureaucracy kept that party alive for 70 plus years. And we are not going to break from our tradition and our methodology. We are going to adapt, and we're going to make the changes to bring in the various different changes as years go by. But there are certain fundamentals, there are certain principles that have to be maintained. What I mean by that, Dr. Hines, is that we're not going to go against our groups. We're not going to go against our regions. We're not going to go against our structure that speaks to Congress and General Council, party groups, regional conferences, and so on. Those are things that are there and were there and have kept us alive and well for 70 plus years. And we're not going to allow people to believe that they can change that within a view to thinking that that's going to cause massive sudden change. You know, I hope you understand what I'm saying, Dr.
Yes.
It's important for us to have institutional knowledge and memory so that we can know where our strengths are and we can build and get stronger. The best teacher, is experience. Once you have experience, you'll be able to know how you're going ahead. So, and I brought that in, Dr. Hines, because I've noticed also that what is trending in social media is some of the people who have left, and it's like if they're bundling the entire party with those couple of people. The party is a strong party. The party has always been a strong party. The membership of this party, the PNCR, is over 20,000 plus people. And I think over the years, we have grown significantly. Yes, the elections did not reflect what it was in 2020 and 2015. But it was an eye-opener. There were several factors that contributed to what was the result of 2025. I don't wish to rehash them, but I must say that we had a new kid on the block, and we had a new kid on the block that had money, and we also had a heavier presence with younger people being more fascinated. But several of them whom we have spoken with indicated it was their first time. They explored, they tried a thing, they said to us that they're sorry, we believe them, we will build stronger, 2031 is going to test us again, I believe we're going to be stronger than ever. I believe we are going to be where we have to be in 2031. And I believe with the people, and they see the genuineness of the 12, they see the commitment of the 12. But beyond that 12, there's a great party. And I should say there's several parties, because even your party, WPA, is also solidly behind you. You may be the one WPA, but you have a membership that is driving you that many people don't see. Oftentimes people look at the 12 and they say it's 12 alone doing the work. No, behind those 12, there are several other people who are working day in, day out to make things happen. Not going to call their names, Dr. Hines, for obvious reasons, but we are on a trajectory of progressiveness. We are on a trajectory of getting it right. We're on a trajectory of building, reorganizing, reshaping, remodeling, recommitting. And that's why you're seeing so many work out there. So I want to appeal, as I take the opportunity, Dr. Hines, with your permission, to say to the viewing public, don't be distracted by foolishness. Don't be distracted by people who are doing what they want to do. Don't be distracted. Be focused on the work that is before us. Be focused on what we have to do to build a nation for all. Some people ask me, Ganesh, you next? I laugh, right? Ganesh, you next? Well, Dr. Hines, let me say on your program, I can never be ungrateful to the People's National Congress reform. The People's National Congress reform made me into who I am today, and I'm very proud of that. The People's National Congress reform has given me exposure beyond what I could have imagined 10 years, 20 years back. They have made me into who I am today, and I'm most grateful for that. And if there is any way, shape, or form that I, Ganesh Maipal, am out of the PNCR, it would not be by way of me leaving. Maybe it will be by them chasing me, but I doubt they will do that. I highly doubt they will do that. The PNCR has been an embracing family. They have been a nurturing ground. They have been really, really influential in my life, and they have made significant positive changes in my life that I am very proud of. And I'm happy to call the PNCR home. And I have no reason to go anywhere else. Thank you very much.
And thank you very much, Ganesh. What a way to finish tonight. Thank you so much for coming on, Ganesh Maipal, our Member of Parliament and the whip for the APNU caucus in the National Assembly. Thank you, my brother, again, for coming.
Thank you very much for having me, Dr. Hines. See you another time.
Yes. And wow, what a program tonight. As I keep saying, that we have to use whatever media there is at our disposal because, as Ganesh has pointed out, it's a difficult time for the media today, and coverage is not what it used to be. Tomorrow night, we're going to get back to the Haslington issue. There's going to be the postmortem tomorrow, and I'm going to try to get at least one of the lawyers, perhaps more than one, and some other commentators for us to zero in on that important development where a young man, Jordan Payne, was found dead, was killed, died, however you want to put it, in police custody. There are more questions than answers, and we're going to try to get in between that tomorrow. And so until then, keep on believing that we can turn the corner, because if we don't, Krapos smoke we pipe.